67 Ford Mustang Custom Fastback with a reserve. We're at $62,000. The reserve has not been met or lifted yet.
Looks just like a Shelby, but it is not. It has been redone to look like a Shelby GT350. Very nicely done, I might add, but it is a clone, a nicely done clone.
And we confirm that the fifth digit's a C, so it's a 289 two-barrel car, done over very nicely as a tribute to the 350.
There goes the reserve. The car will sell.
66,000, 66 pound, hold on, 66. Folks, got up $65,000.
Congratulations, what a wonderful car.
Nice for number 5 of the day. Number 6 of the auction at 65, large.
770 convertible.
And with that, we close our Hagerty Fantasy bidding on the 62 Amphicar. It's the whole kit, terminally cute. Text your Hagerty Fantasy bid to 773333. As close as you can get to the actual hammer price without going over. Could win a terrific prize. Now here comes that 66 Shelby GT350 Fastback, raced in Peru by a gentleman named Teodoro Yagali, who won the famous Caminos del Inca 3,000-kilometer race, about 1,800-mile long-distance event, and he did it twice.
Well, Bob, I'm sure this car has lots and lots of stories to tell. It was originally green with an automatic transmission, which leads me to believe it may have been built originally as a GT350H spec. You can tell it's a 66. Look at those plexiglass windows in the back there. I love the fact that it has the Cragar Shelby 5-spoke mag wheels. Those are great wheels. They look wonderful on these cars. The automatic is gone. It's a manual transmission now, although claims to still be running its original engine. So even though raced, maybe should never done blowed up. Well, obviously redone in Wimbledon white with the competition blue stripes. It's a beautiful little car, guys.
It is nice. When it comes to that 4-speed, I don't have X-ray vision, but to be a Shelby spec, it needs to be an aluminum case T10 Borg Warner. I'm not sure if this is iron or aluminum, but with that said, it fools me. I would say, oh, it's a factory 4-speed car. Everything about it looks to be original.
And we were talking earlier about restoring cars to better than new, and sometimes what you want to do is go with what the market really wants. And I would argue that this car was in green, it wouldn't bring as much money as it does in the classic Wimbledon white and blue stripes. You know, this was in the peak of the Shelby years when Carroll Shelby had control. He was building these cars. This was in the pure stage, but before they began to get a little bigger, heavier, and began to drift away from what Carroll Shelby really wanted. You know, they had their plant down in Venice Beach, and I grew up literally for years down attending Venice Beach, and I never quite made it over there. My mom didn't know about that.
Something I love about this car is the tires. These are Goodyear Blue Dots, and indeed, it's a soft compound tire. These are probably reproduction, well, certainly reproductions of the originals, but these cars came originally with the Blue Dot tires, and indeed, there's a raised circle there that's actually blue from the factory. Nice touch.
Hey, Mags, I just took a look underneath, and it's got the alloy case trans. Good for them.
We're at 102,000, but the reserve has not been met or lifted yet.
Doesn't surprise me, Bob. These early Shelbys are just bringing mint money. I'm betting we're still 50 grand away here.
You know, reading what the consignor said, it kind of implies that after it won those races, it was put away and stored for a very long time. So that might explain how the engine was able to survive all those years.
Come up in the auction nowadays. They do not trade hands that often. This is a great opportunity.
I'm not sure exactly where the Caminos del Inca race went for those 1,800 miles. Maybe it was a highway job. Didn't put a lot of strain on the mechanicals.
Of course, 1966 saw the GT350 become a little more civilized. Gone were a lot of the things about the 65s that were kind of brutal, like the overrider traction bars. But it was still a very respectable performance car based on a K-Code 271 Mustang.
Oh, believe me, I would have one in a minute.
You may have been right about needing to get to about 150 or so, Matt. We're at 130. Still, the reserve is not budging.
I go back to my point. If this was green, I don't think it'd be bringing this money.
No, this is the iconic look for a first-gen GT350. They just look right this way.
Now the consignor is in the room, so Barrett-Jackson staff may go to that consignor and say, okay, there he is. Barrett-Jackson rep there in blazer and tie saying, okay, well, you know, what's it going to take to get a deal done? Maybe you want to come down a little bit?
As long as we're here, how about a greeting to our friend Carroll Shelby? I know he watches our broadcast. I hope he is watching us online as you are. And Shell, I hope you're feeling good, and thanks for tuning in.
You know, we can talk about the restoration was done on this car back in 2002 and 2003. It's not an absolute fresh restoration, but I would argue that in the 7 or 8 years since it was done, it has not lost any of its luster. Overall, it looks really, really good. Shows very, very well. You're not losing anything for that restoration having been done a few years ago.
You know, one thing to point out about the stripes on this car is that most people incorrectly assume that the twin Le Mans stripes that go over the roof and the hood and the body are Shelby issue, but the reality is the vast majority of these were done by the dealer at that level, not at Shelby.
I think a GT350 dressed very much like this one and owned by Sir Sterling Moss went to auction in the last couple of years for big numbers. So provenance means a lot, but ultimately it's the car that seals the deal.
Yeah, the consignor points out that it's got the original Ford VIN number on the block. It's got the correct high-performance heads, the original Cobra intake, the original Holley carburetor, the tri-white headers, the Cobra valve covers. There's a reason it's bringing this money.
And the reserve is off. The car is loose and will sell.
And look at the number we're at. Pretty close to my guess, huh? Not bad.
I've spoken with some auction experts who say when the reserve comes off, maybe there's a little less incentive in the room to bid. I would argue that there's more because you know you're going to get the car like that gentleman just did. $148,000 is our number 3 sale of the auction. And that consignor looks happy. Why not?
Well, he just got one cool piece. Congratulations.
Good deal all around. Everybody's happy, and that's the way we like it. Here's some smiles.